This is Dark Regime, The List, Hulk, from the period where Marvel overcomplicated every title with a dozen different names. This is by Gregory Peck and Oliver Bean, and it is a story I somehow remembered, even though, as I found reading it, it is a complete nothing burger. There is a variant cover for this by Paulie Pelletgun. I'm just mentioning that because it is somewhat modestly interesting in this otherwise uninteresting issue. Our backstory is Hulk isn't Hulk anymore. He is David Banner. Red Hulk drained his gamma energy out. Hulk also has an alien barbarian son called Hulkson, and Hulkson is partnered with David Banner. Norman Osborn, the Green Gobbler, is in charge of the world. Hulk's girlfriend from the 80s, Kate Waynesborough, she has been captured and is being held prisoner by Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn wants to study and reapply new powers. She has powers now. Right. So, after 300, she didn't appear again for 20 years. Then she came back and she fell in love with an alien, and the alien died. But when it died, it gave her its powers, which were like earth control, ground-based powers. She was in the planet Hulkson one-shot, which is where we have Norman Osborn find out about her, and he took her prisoner off panel, I guess. Lucky for her, though, her ex-boyfriend, David Banner, who hasn't mentioned her once in 20 years, he has come to save her. But how is he going to do that without his green alter ego? Well, they basically have just rehashed what they did with Hank Gordon in the 80s. Now, David Banner uses science as if it is his superpower. He has a dozen science gadgets and an invention for everything. It is nowhere near as earned as when Hank Gordon did it. And it is even worse because David Banner has never been much of an inventor. And it doesn't matter anyway, because then he'll just tell Hulkson to finish the job. Hulkson, he was a child fathered by Hulk on an alien world. Hulk never knew about him, however, and Hulkson grew up resenting and hating his father for appearing to abandon him. Hulkson came to Earth, and Hulkson wants to kill his father. Hulkson wants to kill Hulk, but he doesn't want to kill puny David Banner. He does not consider David Banner a worthy kill. He wants to face Hulk. So they free Kate, and now Norman Osborn is planning retaliation, and he mentions how fighting Hulk in a cave is one of his biggest regrets. And I thought to myself, when was that? We'll come back to it. Don't rush to see Amazing Spider-Man 14. What we have here is, we are drafting in Moonstump in her Miss Marvel's cosplay days. And I love Moonstump, and having her back in her original role as a Hulk villain excites me. But this is a fucking load of nout. I'll talk about the artwork by Oliver Bean. Do any of you remember the TV show Oliver Bean? It was cancelled after one season. It was a Malcolm in the Middle rip-off. Anyway, Oliver Bean's art is... I know he is one of A. Pilgrim's favourites. That is one of my subscribers. But I don't like where his art went. This here, I don't like the colours for starters, but it's also how he has chosen to ink himself and present his art. He used to have a more standard setup, and the line work is all the exact same even. It's just a different style that he and his usual colourist have decided to go down. He did some Thunderbars actually. He did some of the Nokia Engage fill-in run. And I really like his art in those. He draws Moonstump in them, and she looks great. I really like his line work, his penciling. I think it's solid. And I think what we have here, it's good art to start with, but what they've done to his pencils, I don't like. The colour palette in particular, I think is the big earth. Everything looks very dour. It looks like it has a realism filter on it. I would love to see the original pencils though. I can see Moonstump being attractive in the pencils, but she doesn't look very attractive with this rendering. This here, this is the best page of the issue. The only page of the story that is even worth reading. Really, there is not much here at all. I chide the 70s comics where it is a writer phoning it in and just writing a script to get paid. This is that to a T. It's worse here because they are parts of this. They are story beats that deserve actual care and thought because they can be good. It's not though. I felt underfed after reading this. Gregory Peck, our writer, he wrote a very acclaimed Hulk story, Planet Hulk. He wrote a terrible one, World War Hulk. And then he wrote a lot of mediocre ones. And then finally, some truly abysmal ones, followed by some embarrassing attempts to relive his past glories. I really want so much more from this one. It makes me angry that this doesn't exploit its greatest strength, Moonstump. But then, maybe, this splash page of leggy Moonstump, this was meant to be that. Again, if the pencils for this are online somewhere, please share. I want to see this beautiful Moonstump without the ugliness added in. Then, we have a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, which is the first appearance of Green Gobbler by Stanley Lee and Steve Ditman. And this is back when he had a broomstick instead of a glider. He gets the glider in his second appearance in issue 17. It's funny seeing this after the main story for several reasons. One is you would not even remotely begin to connect the dots that this Green Gobbler character is meant to be the Norman Osborn character we saw in the new story. Green Gobbler has this diabolical scheme to make a motion picture about Spider-Man, but it is secretly an evil plan to defeat Spider-Man. I can't imagine the shit Lex Luthor copy and paste ever doing this. So Green Gobbler, he ropes Spider-Man into this by promising him riches, and the idea is that it'll be a movie about Spider-Man, and there will be a fight scene filmed with Spider-Man, and Green Gobbler and the Enforcers as well. But they aren't going to be play fighting. They're going to take him by surprise and actually beat the shit out of Spider-Man. This is my favourite bit of the entire issue. This comes after they have already exposed their true plan. After Spider-Man has been clocked in the head, Spider-Man announces, "I am wise to you now." You can't say that after they've revealed it themselves. "Oh, I'm wise to you now. I fell for your trap, hook, line and sinker, but now that I've fallen for it, I'm wise to you now." I absolutely hate the Enforcers though. The Enforcers are a bunch of corny gangster tough guys. They were introduced in an earlier issue. They're also in Daredevil as well. And I would say I dislike them more than the Circus of Crime even. Here though, the trouble is that there are 3 Enforcers and 1 Green Gobbler. The Enforcers overwhelm and rob us of much panel time with the new villain. I also want to say I appreciate that they don't break up this arc comic with adverts. It was at this point though where I thought we were reaching the end of the issue. Spider-Man defeats the Enforcers, and I was thinking, man alive, this is so much better than the news story in this. So much has happened here. But it's not even near the end at all. We're just entering the 3rd act now. The villains chase Spider-Man into a cave. And the lead story already gave it away. Hulk is in this cave. And Hulk starts fighting Spider-Man. Something you will notice though is that Hulk only fights Spider-Man. And at no point does he actually come face to face with Green Gobbler. That nod in the news story was completely off. Norman Osborn didn't fight Hulk. He didn't have much reason to regret going into this cave. It was a completely phony continuity reference. Continuity in editing is based on covers now. Green Gobbler is on the cover, and so is Hulk, so they probably met. That is the new continuity that Tom Beevort created for Marvel Comics. I was thoroughly entertained by this jam-packed story, and I started to think we were going to have a loose end to contend with. At the start, Spider-Man signed a contract, but no, we even tied that off. We end by teasing the mystery of this new villain, Green Gobbler. Who could he possibly be? Obviously, that reprint is loads of fun, and it redeemed the sheer level of emptiness I felt from the main story. But I cannot evaluate this based on that. There are some people who are resistant to Silver Age and the writing style, and when you put them side by side like this, it really does show the strength of Silver Age writing. There might be clunky as fuck plotting, there might be dated lingo and references, but there is so much on display and so much crammed into a single issue that you will find at least one, probably more, little things in the story you really like. Don't recommend this though. 7 thumbs up.